The story of the Gospel of Mary is very simple, as the first 6 pages are missing. And the Gospel starts in the middle of a conversation between Jesus and his disciples. And this was after his resurrection. The Savior answers their question about the end of the physical world. And they also wanted to know about sin. And he teaches them that everything, whether it to be material or spiritual, is connected. And this will not be true at the end. Everything will go back to its true origin and fate. However, for now, sin is only relevant in this lifetime, in this mortal plane, as he called it, in this mixed world. He said that people sin because they don't recognize their own spiritual nature, and instead they value their lower nature, which misleads them and then also leads them to illness and consequently death. Jesus says that salvation is achieved by finding the genuinely spiritual nature of humanity within oneself and overcoming physical passion. And the Savior ends this conversation with a warning. It's a warning against those who might deceive the disciples into following a heroic leader or a set of rules. Instead, you should look inside yourself and find your inner peace. And after telling them to spread this gospel, the Savior leaves. But the disciples at this point do not go out joyfully to spread this gospel. Instead, controversy erupts, and all of the disciples, except Mary, fail to understand his teachings. They simply fail to understand the Savior's teachings. But Mary Magdalen understood them, and rather of seeking peace within, they were all distraught. And they were also very frightened of what could happen if they would go preaching this gospel now. They were afraid of sharing his agonizing fate. But Mary steps in and confronts them all. Then, at Peter's request, she relates teachings unknown to them that she had received from Jesus in a vision. The Savior had explained to her the secrets of prophecy and the rise of the soul to its final rest. And he described how to win the battle against the wicked illegitimate powers that seek to keep the soul entrapped in this world in ignorance of its true spiritual nature. Now, as soon as she finishes to tell them this story, 2 of the disciples decide to challenge her. Andrew objects that her teachings are strange, and he refuses to believe that it came from the Savior. Then Peter goes further. Peter goes even further, denying that Jesus would ever give this information to a woman. He didn't think that women should receive advanced teachings, and therefore she was wrong. What was happening in reality is that they were all jealous, because how could Jesus prefer her to them? This was the real problem. And Peter repented ever asking her to tell them this teaching. He had no idea that it could have been such an advanced teaching.